Hello and welcome to day 4 of our 5 pound challenge. I'm so glad you're here. You're hanging in there. I hope you have your checklist printed. You're going through it all, trying to do at least one or two things every single day from each category. And as you create those habits, you can build more things in and really create a wellness lifestyle that's going to create habits for your whole life. So let's dive into day 4, which is rest and recovery. And one of the most important topics, they're all important, but the thing we're going to talk about today, because not a lot of people talk about this, right? So we are so conditioned to keep going and going and going, right? Don't rest, work harder, hustle more, wake up earlier. Some people talk about going to sleep earlier, but if you're not working a full-time job and doing a side hustle and have a perfect marriage and perfect, there's a lot of pressure out there right now. And it does feel like we're not allowed to rest, or rest is considered selfish. And I'm here to tell you the opposite, right? Rest is how we care for ourselves and create the energy we need to be able to go out and do the things that we want to do. So I ask people, if you were to go on vacation, how long does it take you to start to feel better, more relaxed, better in your body? And usually they say immediately, right? Oh, I feel as soon as my toes hit the sand, or as soon as I get my boots on and around the mountain, I'm just a whole new person. And that tells you, is your body the problem, or is your environment the problem? Is it how you treat yourself, or is it the pace at which you're living, right? So how can we create that environment where you're allowed to relax and be supported and do the things that you enjoy doing while still living your everyday life? Kind of hard, but we're going to get there, right? So first, go back and watch day 3's video on blood sugar and when to eat. And also, if you struggle with insomnia, I have links in there as well, because I feel like a lot of people don't get the rest they need because they're not sleeping well enough at night. And then it creates this insomnia hangover, which creates a blood sugar roller coaster because you're dependent on coffee and soda and energy drinks and junk food to get through the day. And then you set yourself up for insomnia that night. And then we're in this vicious cycle. So blood sugar is king when it comes to anything health. And then working on sleep stuff. So a good night's sleep starts with a good morning, right? So getting sunlight exposure first thing in the morning is the most important, because it triggers your brain to release more cortisol. It's actually called the cortisol awakening response, the CAR, and it sets our internal clock of energy and patterns and hormones and blood sugar and how we feel. So the first thing I want you to do is wake up, get some sunlight on your eyes. Now, it's harder in the winter, I know, because you might be waking up before the sun is up. So I do recommend getting a sunlight lamp. I think I got mine off of Amazon. It was on sale last year for $15, but you can get anything. I like to keep mine in the bathroom and just use it in the morning. So when I wake up, I turn it on, I set the timer for 10 minutes. So that way I brush my teeth, do my makeup, get my hair done, get dressed, and all of that light is on my eyes. And then we're good to go if I don't get to look out at the sun. Ideally, sunlight is number one. If you are, let me look at my notes. If you're in a brightly lit room indoors, you get about 1,500 units of light. If you're outside on a cloudy day, you get 15,000 units of light. And if it's a sunny day, you get 50,000 units of light. So this really does signal to our body what time of day it is. So go outside, look at the window, do something to get some natural sunlight on your eyes. And that'll help, of course, insomnia, energy, mood, all of those things. So on the opposite side, at nighttime, something that signals our body that it's time to slow down is the sun going down. So I always like to recommend going for a walk after dinner as the sun is going down. However, the sun is down way before dinner happens during the winter. So during the summer, try and go for a walk after dinner so your eyes see that sunlight dimming. So during the winter months, there's a couple important things that you can do. And those are the first two things on our checklist here. Number one, no screens 2 hours before bed. So computers, cell phones, tablets, things like that. And eliminate overhead lighting 2 hours before bed. And this is really helpful because overhead lighting signals that to our brain, it's like the sun. So if you can get lamps that are lower, things you could put on your nightstand, or using warm bulbs. Other thing we like to use is, well, when our kids were really little, we used lava lamps because the light was dim, but it was just enough and it was nice and soothing. Helps them sleep through the night, good stuff. And then the other thing we did is salt lamps because it's a low level light, but it's just enough. So those are really important things. We really want to use our brain's natural abilities to be able to function rather than forcing ourselves to go to sleep with drugs or even supplements or melatonin and then wake up with drugs and stimulants. So this will really help. A salt lamp would be a great lamp for the evening, or use a light bulb with 2700 Kelvin or a red or an orange bulb to help also minimize that blue light. Bulbs that are 5000 Kelvin are very bright and blue tone, and that also affects your melatonin levels and decreases them. Melatonin, as we know, is responsible for sleep, but is required for immune function too. I don't know if you know right now, but melatonin is one of the major supplements that we use in treating viruses. So think about that. And it's also an anti-cancer hormone. It does so much. So we want to maximize our melatonin output. So if you have that overhead lighting, it'll actually reduce your melatonin by 40%. So if you're having trouble sleeping, focusing, concentrating, this will really help you. Natural candlelight or fire will decrease melatonin by 5%. So not that you have to light candles to get through your evening, but maybe not real candles, but the wicker lights. No, battery powered candles might be the next best tool for you. Okay, and then no screens. I think we all know this, but what I found is nobody does this. So this is why it's on the checklist, so we can remember to do these things. This is probably one of my habits that when I talk about, I'm like, I need to start doing this. Because the screens emit blue light, which turn off melatonin, it keeps our brain thinking that it's daytime. So a way around this is you can buy the blue blocker glasses. There's tons of brands out there now. They are actually really helpful, and especially during the day. Another thing that you can do is use the night shift mode on your electronics. Most computers have them built in now, but a lot of phones will have the apps or already built in as well. So make sure you look that up. And on the computer, just get Flux, FLUX.com will give you the app to also reduce your screen light and help your brain focus during the day. Try to keep your bedtime and your wake time really consistent as much as possible, because this also helps set your daily circadian rhythm. Your body knows what to do. Your brain and your body are kind of like a toddler. It needs routines and systems. Even though you might not like it, your body does. So how can you shift into a routine that's more supportive for you, like reading, a bath, a meditation? Maybe it's a board game with your kids, or snuggling and watching a favorite movie, or coloring, drawing, sketching, painting is another great way where you're interactive, you're doing something, you're off of screens. That's a lot of fun as well. Getting bed by 10 p.m. and getting at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep is ideal. Sleep timing is also really important. We get our best recovery sleep from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. So if you're a night owl, you might not be getting that restorative sleep that you need. And it also, that time is when we release the most amount of growth hormone, which improves our metabolism. It burns fat. It's supportive of digestion. So we want to get the right amount of sleep. Plus, sleep deprivation leads to cravings, like we talked about. Like, you're going to need more caffeine. You're going to want more junk food to get through the day. You're going to consume more calories, is what research shows if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're deprived of sleep. As they say, actually about 400 to 500 more calories per day. And that plays a role in our brain function too. And of course, it affects our memory and our emotions, right? So you want to prioritize sleep as much as possible. Okay. Try to sleep in complete darkness. That's number 5. Keep the room cool, no electronics, ideally. So you want the room dark enough where you can't see your hand in front of your face, because that's going to signal that it's nighttime. Cooler temperatures as well. There's an argument. I've seen research that says sleeping with socks is better. Some people say socks is a personal preference. I don't know. We're all very different. I definitely need to be warm. Just got an electric blanket this year so I can actually fall asleep without shivering. So do what's best for you and what works for you, absolutely. But align yourself with your natural rhythms, okay? That's what's most important. With no electronics, that's also really important. One thing that I do like to do is set the router to go off at 10 p.m. or I just unplug everything, because you're reducing that radiation, that electromagnetic fields just surrounding you all the time. I don't like people to sleep with their phone on them or next to them in bed. One of my ways around this is to plug it in and charge it at night in the bathroom, so that way I can still hear my alarm, but my phone's not next to my head, because that can disrupt your sleep patterns. If your alarms are going off, make sure you have do not disturb on. If you're worried about someone you love contacting you, you can always set your phone to have a priority. This is what my phone does. It's an Android, and so I have special people who are a priority that no matter what, their call or their text is going to go through, and it's going to go through that, but everything else is silenced. And there's, I have Aura Ring. I don't have one, so if you have one, let me know if you like it. It's the Oura Ring, I'm pretty sure. Came out about a year or two ago, and it just measures your sleep. There's so many watches now that will do this for you, and that'll also give you a good idea. They're not perfect, I've found, but it's an option to see what times are you waking up, when are you tossing and turning, and really hone in on what's disrupting your sleep. What did you do the day before? What did you eat? What did you drink? What did you eat right before bed? That's affecting you too. So the other thing about rest that I want to touch on, because tomorrow we're going to talk about exercise, but taking time to rest and recover is really important. One, it improves muscle recovery and growth. You reduce the risk of injury and overtraining, and also it can be more supportive for your body. I think I just did a live, or I was talking about it in one of my podcasts, but a lot of people like to do 75 hard, and I think it's great for them. When something's created by a man who's relatively healthy and he goes out and tells everybody to work out twice a day for an hour, that's fantastic, because he's healthy, he has the energy and the time and the money to be able to live his life that way. When I see my female patients do this, they end up overtraining, they end up putting themselves into a flare, they end up injuring themselves. So before you go out and think, like I did last week, all right, I was back in the gym, but man, I didn't go every single day. I'm lazy, I'm bad, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm never going to meet my goals if I'm not in the gym for 2 hours every single day. And I had to completely shift my mindset this year to say, okay, can I go 3 times this week? That would be amazing. And give myself days in between to rest and recover and heal. Because when you have autoimmune conditions, even if it's psoriasis or eczema, thyroid, if you're like me with ulcerative colitis, Crohn's, celiac, joint issues, RA, if you have fibromyalgia, if you have PCOS or hormone conditions, when you exercise and you don't rest, you increase your cortisol. Your cortisol increases your attack on your body, which means you're going to be in a flare, you're going to be in more pain, you're not going to be able to continue working out. So rest and recovery is key for healing, for being healthy, for living a longer and healthier life. And I would just really encourage you to move your body, but also give your body that space and time to rest, reconnect to yourself. And if you feel like I always use myself as an example because I feel like it's just easier to connect that way. But um, we had COVID over Christmas and got better really fast. It was fine. And then I turned into a long hauler, ended up with mast cell activation syndrome, breaking out. I'm breaking out in hives still right now, all over my body. I was extremely tired. I'm much better now, but it was like I was in bed by like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I just felt so bad about myself. Like I should be doing this, and I need to be doing that, and I need to be doing this, and I really had to coach myself, and my therapist worked with me a lot about it, but I needed to rest that day so the next day I could be a little bit better, and the next day I could be a little bit better. And that way, all those things that I had to do were still waiting for me this week. They weren't going anywhere. So it's okay to prioritize rest and recovery. There's no reason to not allow yourself to heal and feel your feelings and express them and just move with grace through your life, even though it's super hard. I know it's so hard, but you got this. I'm so glad that you're here. And let me see. I don't remember what our challenge was for today. Oh, try to implement as many things as possible on the checklist under rest and recovery section. Please share in the comments either what time you're going to bed or what area you need improvement when it comes to sleep based off the checklist or anything that we talked about. Tell me maybe a strategy for rest and recovery that you're going to start implementing in your life to just take care of yourself. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And as a final note, I'm going to post the prizes and everything that we're going to be giving away, and also the $50 off coupon of your initial consultation for being here in this group, for participating, so that way you can get personalized care, get your own report, and get to work on your health. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.